today and over the last couple of days, I've been reading about China and some of the companies in China, one in particular, coming up with a faster method of AI and much less expensive method. And that's good because you don't have to spend this much money. I view that as a positive, as an asset. So the release of Deepseek AI from a Chinese company should be a wake-up call for our industries that we need to be laser focused on competing to win, because we have the greatest scientists in the world. Even Chinese leadership told me that. Well, this is very unusual when you hear a Deepseek, when you hear somebody come up with something. We always have the ideas. We're always first. So I would say that's a positive. That could be very much a positive development. So instead of spending billions and billions, you'll spend less and you'll come up with, hopefully, the same solution.
OpenAI, which is only really open about consuming all the world's energy, just got rattled to its core. Deepseek, a new AI startup run by a Chinese hedge fund, created a new open weights model called R1 that allegedly beats OpenAI's best models in most metrics. And they did it for $6 million, with GPUs that run at half the memory bandwidth of OpenAI's.
Tony Stark was able to build this in a cave with a bunch of scraps!
Besides the embarrassment of a Chinese startup beating OpenAI using 1% of the resources, their model can distill other models to make them run better on slower hardware. Meaning, this Raspberry Pi can run one of the best local Qwen AI models even better now. OpenAI's entire moat is predicated on people not having access to the insane energy and GPU resources to train and run massive AI models. But that moat disappears if anyone can buy a GPU and run a model that's good enough for free anytime they want. But sensationalist headlines aren't telling you the full story. This Raspberry Pi can technically run Deepseek R1, but it's not the same thing as Deepseek R1 671B, which is a 400 gigabyte model. That model, the one that actually beats ChatGPT, still requires a massive amount of GPU compute. But the big difference is, assuming you have a few 3090s, you could run it at home. You don't have to pay OpenAI for the privilege of running one of their fancy models. You can just install a Llama, download Deepseek, and play with it to your heart's content. And even if you don't have a bunch of GPUs, you could technically still run Deepseek on any computer with enough RAM. Like here, it's running on my 192-core Ampere 1 server. It's running Deepseek 671B at about 4 tokens per second, which isn't crazy fast, but this server won't set you back like $100,000 either. Even though it's only using a few hundred watts, which is honestly pretty amazing, a noisy server like this isn't gonna be in everyone's living room. A Raspberry Pi could be though. So let's look at how the smaller 14B model runs on it. It's definitely not gonna win any speed records. Testing a few different prompts, I got about 1.2 tokens per second. I mean, it runs, but if you want a chatbot for like rubber duck debugging or to give you a few ideas for your next YouTube title, this isn't fun. But we can speed things up a lot. All we need is an external graphics card, because GPUs and the VRAM on them are way faster than CPUs and system memory. I have this setup I've been testing with an AMD W7700 graphics card. It has 16 gigs of speedy VRAM, and as long as it can fit the whole AI model in that, it should be way faster than any CPU. And it is, like 10 times faster. I can get between 20 to 50 tokens per second depending on the type of work I'm doing. Here's the raw output from an interactive session, and if I look at NVTop, I can see all this processing is being done on the GPU. And if I run Llama Bench, it's reporting 24 to 54 tokens per second. And this GPU isn't even targeted at LLMs. You can go a lot faster. If you're interested in running GPUs on Raspberry Pis, or maybe even other ARM boards, well, you're in for a treat this year. Not only do we have AMD GPUs working great, the new Intel open source drivers are also working. Somewhat. And NVIDIA might be in the cards too. On top of that, I have an Orion 06, a CM5 ITX board, and even a Hi5 Premier P550, all of which have full-size x16 PCIe slots. So even if the year of the Linux desktop will never come, at least we'll get custom ARM and RISC-V PCs. AI is still in a massive bubble. NVIDIA just lost more than $500 billion in value in one day after Deepseek was launched. But their stock price is still 8 times higher today than it was in 2023, and it's not like anyone's hyping up AI any less now. The one good takeaway, I think, is people might realize we don't need to devote more than half the world's energy resources or set up a Dyson sphere around the sun just to help computers solve trillions of multiplication problems to spit out another 1,000 mediocre web apps. The other takeaway is that there's new confusion in AI models over who precisely is Winnie the Pooh. Until next time, I'm Jeff Geerling.
Yesterday, China released a state-of-the-art free and open-source chain-of-thought reasoning model with performance that rivals OpenAI's O1, which I'm stupidly paying $200 a month for right now. You see, there's two types of people in the tech world right now. In one camp, we have the pessimists, who think that AI is overhyped and plateaued with GPT 3.5. In the other camp, we have the optimists, who think we're about to see the emergence of an artificial superintelligence that will propel humanity into Ray Kurzweil's technological singularity. Nobody truly knows where things are going, but one thing to remember is that pessimists sound smart while optimists make money. But sometimes it's hard to be an AI optimist because you need to trust hype Jedis like Sam Altman and closed AI companies like OpenAI. Well, luckily on the same day that TikTok's ban was removed, China gave the world a gift in return in the form of Deepseek R1. And in today's video, you'll learn exactly how to use it like a senior prompt engineer. It is January 21st, 2025, and you are watching the Code Report. Yesterday, the course of history changed forever. And no, I'm not talking about the return of the king, but rather the release of Deepseek, which is an MIT licensed chain of thought model that you can use freely and commercially to make money in your own applications. This model came out while Sam Altman was busy at Trump's inauguration, which is a perfect time to use this new meme template where Zuckerberg appears to detect a rack overflow in this artificial binary code owned by Jeff Bezos. He's going to have some explaining to do with his wife, but Sam Altman also rained on the AI optimist parade recently when he said that the AI hype was out of control, and no, they have not achieved AGI internally. And that's pretty obvious with how buggy ChatGPT is. Like recently, a security researcher figured out how to get ChatGPT to DDoS websites for you. All you have to do is provide it with a list of similar URLs that point to the same website, and it will crawl them all in parallel, which is something that no truly intelligent being would do. That being said, the release of O1 a few months ago was another step forward in the AI race, but it didn't take long for open source to catch up, and that's what we have with Deepseek R1. As you can see from its benchmarks, Deepseek R1 is on par with OpenAI O1, and even exceeds it in some benchmarks like math and software engineering. But let me remind you once again that you should never trust benchmarks. Just recently, this company Epic AI, which provides a popular math benchmark, only recently disclosed that they've been funded by OpenAI, which feels a bit like a conflict of interest. I don't care about benchmarks anyway and just go off of vibes, so let's go ahead and try out Deepseek R1 right now. And they have a web-based UI, but you can also use it in places like Hugging Face or download it locally with tools like Ollama. And that's what I did for its 7 billion parameter model, which weighs about 4.7 gigabytes. However, if you want to use it in its full glory, it'll take over 400 gigabytes and some pretty heavy-duty hardware to run it with 671 billion parameters. But if you want something that's on par with O1 Mini, you want to go with 32 billion parameters. Now, one thing that makes Deepseek different is that it doesn't use any supervised fine-tuning. Instead, it uses direct reinforcement learning. But what does that even mean? Well, normally, with supervised fine-tuning, you show the model a bunch of examples and explain how to solve them step by step, then evaluate the answers with another model or a human. But R1 doesn't do that and pulls itself up by its own bootstraps, using direct or pure reinforcement learning, where you give the model a bunch of examples without showing it the solution first, then it tries a bunch of things on its own and learns or reinforces itself by eventually finding the right solution, just like a real human with reasoning capabilities. Deepseek also released a brief paper that describes the reinforcement learning algorithm. It looks complicated, but basically for each problem, the AI tries multiple times to generate answers, which are called outputs. The answers are then grouped together and given a reward score, so the AI learns to adjust its approach for answers with a higher score. That's pretty cool, and we can see the model's actual chain of thought if we go ahead and prompt it here with Ollama. When prompting a chain of thought model like R1 or O1, you want to keep the prompt as concise and direct as possible, because unlike other models like GPT-4, the idea is that it does the thinking on its own. Like if I ask it to solve a math problem, you'll notice that it first shows me all the thinking steps, and then after that thinking process is done, it'll show the actual solution. That's pretty cool, but you might be wondering when to use a chain of thought model instead of a regular large language model. Well, basically, the chain of thought models are much better when it comes to complex problem solving, things like advanced math problems, puzzles, or coding problems that require detailed planning. But if you want to build the future with AI, you need to learn it from the ground up. And you can do that today for free thanks to this video's sponsor, Brilliant. Their platform provides interactive hands-on lessons that demystify the complexity of deep learning. With just a few minutes of effort each day, you can understand the math and computer science behind this seemingly magic technology. I'd recommend starting with Python, then check out their full How Large Language Models Work course if you really want to look under the hood of ChatGPT. Try everything everything Brilliant has to offer for free for 30 days by going to brilliant.org/fireship or use the QR code on screen. This has been the Code Report. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.
Stock markets opened just a few minutes ago, and it's not pretty. Down big, especially the tech-heavy NASDAQ. CNN's Matt Egan is here to explain what we're seeing and why, Matt.
Yeah, John, we've got a bit of a tech sell-off this morning, and it's being caused by earth-shattering developments in the AI space. So let's take a look at this. Did you see the Dow down more than 140 points right now? The S&P solidly lower, but the real action is over here in the NASDAQ, 600 points lower, nearly 3%, on track for one of its worst days in the past 2 years. And here's why. There's a Chinese startup that few people had ever heard of until the past few days, and it has emerged as a real player in the AI arms race. It's called Deepseek, and investors, and I would imagine officials in Washington, are stunned to learn that Deepseek's AI model has developed technology that can actually be competitive with OpenAI and Google and xAI and all these more established players. It's only been around for a bit, but Deepseek has already vaulted to the top of the App Store on Apple as the most downloaded app, passing ChatGPT, which is pretty shocking. Look at that, number one. Veteran investor, billionaire Mark Andreessen, he's a legendary tech investor. He said that DeepSeek is, quote, one of the most amazing and impressive breakthroughs that he has ever seen. Now, the most stunning thing here isn't necessarily that China has developed a pretty good AI app. It's how cheap it is. DeepSeek says that their AI model only cost $5.6 million. Now, we don't know that, but if that's true, that is pretty stunning. Anthropic, one of the leading AI companies, has said that it costs about $100 million to $1 billion to develop an AI model. We know that Mark Zuckerberg, the Meta CEO, says that his company plans to spend $65 billion on AI. So, John, look, this is all really questioning sort of the foundation here of the AI boom, which is that it requires a lot of spending, which is that the U.S. is running away with the AI arms race, and it's also questioning some of the big positives that have pushed markets to record highs.
A lot of people put a lot of money into AI, and now they're wondering if that money is needed the way that some of these American companies have said it is.
Exactly.
We just don't know if the claims being made by these Chinese companies.
Yeah, this is moving so fast. It's stunning.
All right, we're going to stay on top of this. As we said, big drops, especially in the NASDAQ.
Speaking a lot more about DeepSeek, it's one of these big stocks that has really changed the game, it seems, in just a couple of days. Without warning, a big unknown Chinese firm rattling the U.S. market. Shirley Palmer is CEO of the Palmer Group and a professor of advanced media. He joins me now from New York. Shirley, great to have you with us.
Great to be here.
It seems like there's a bit of a coup happening in the AI space. Tell me about DeepSeek, what you know about it. I mean, it's a startup. It's a 1-year-old company. A lot of people are downloading it. And the question is it taking on the big guys in the United States?
So Deepseek is a company out of China. It is a startup. As you said, it's about a year old. They have a model called Deepseek V3, and in the last little bit, they released R1, which is a reasoning engine, and it's open source on an MIT license. You can download it. The magic here is that instead of taking months to train and hundreds of millions of dollars, it took under 2 months to train and cost under, according to the company, under $6 million to train. When you download it, you can post-train it, and pre-trained transformer models need to be post-trained in order to be valuable. And the compute cost is a fraction. We're talking a few percentage points fraction of what it costs to use the large language models from the big hyperscalers and foundational model builders like OpenAI or Anthropic or any of the other large foundational model builders. So this cost savings, along with the basically lightweight of the model, meaning you can download it and run it on a laptop, has sent kind of shivers through the spines, because what this really means is there's a possible future where algorithmic efficiency beats brute force computation. And the entire AI industry in the United States and around the world has been thinking about high-level computation and big data centers and a lot of energy use and chips. And now they're thinking, maybe not.
So it's a really good one to look at in terms of the numbers, because you're saying, and Deepseek saying, that they spent just $5.6 million on this new AI model. Meta last week said it would spend upward of $65 billion. How come Deepseek was able to crack this code and do it so much more efficiently, and the big guys in the US unable to do so?
First of all, it's hard to speculate, but let's just say the following. There is a cliche that I believe is a cliche for a reason. There are more honors students in China than there are students in the United States. You're talking about a very deep pool of very smart people. That's thing one. Two, they've been restricted from getting all of the tools they need from the West, including specifically the kind of chips that would do the computation they need to do the advanced computation. This is a mathematical solution to a hardware problem. It's called algorithmic efficiency. They've actually written code that's more efficient than the code that's being used generally in the space throughout the world. So how did they do it? It's open source. You can see their research. They've been very good and transparent about publishing their research. They haven't exactly shown the secret sauce, but it is something that we'll be able to replicate. And by the way, the markets are reacting in a knee jerk, and most people don't understand any of what I'm about to say to you. No one in the United States, no American, no company anywhere on earth, to be fair, is going to lay down and die because a couple of engineers figured out a better algorithm. Math is math, and engineering is engineering, and these algorithmic efficiency approaches will be figured out worldwide. Now, what does that mean for NVIDIA's chip prices? What does that mean for nuclear power plants for data centers? What does that mean for future data centers? The jury's still out. By the way, no one's replicated this. For all we know, this is the Sputnik moment, or this is the cyber Pearl Harbor where they faked this whole thing and it really wasn't done for $5.5 million in 2 months. We don't know. My guess is it was done for $6 million, and was done in 2 months. That's my guess. And we're all going to have to rise to the challenge. And by the way, I am confident that everybody will.
Yeah, this is the thing. We were talking about the race, the AI race, and I think this is pretty much indicative of the race that has truly just begun. As you say, you can crack this code. If it's a mathematical solution, then you've got people that could work on it. But you touched on something in terms of the hardware and the GPUs and NVIDIA and so forth, and even what it means for electricity consumption for data centers. If what we're hearing from Deepseek is in fact all factual, what does it actually mean? Does this change the calculation completely for AI?
So at the moment, it is much less expensive to run Deepseek R1 locally than it is to, or even in the cloud, than it is to run any of the other models. So the question is not, is this better or worse? The question is, going forward, is algorithmic efficiency, this ability to run smaller models more efficiently, going to be a better path forward than the brute force massive compute models that we've used so far at OpenAI and Anthropic and at Google Gemini and at Llama, for Meta's Llama? We don't know the answer to that. Right now, it points towards two futures. One future is algorithmic efficiency. The other is brute force compute. There's no one in the world who can answer this question right now. It's all speculation. Time will tell. And as you've just said, it's very early days, which is like the beginning of the race. We're nowhere near the end of this race. We've never seen anything come this quickly. We've never seen exponential improvement that has really hit us at this speed. So it's accelerating, and we're going to all learn together. That's just the way it's going to go. And the markets are going to follow along, because markets do that.
University Networks talks about the emergence of Deepseek, an AI startup from China, has caused a stir in the technology industry. With operating costs only a fraction of those of its competitors, DeepMind has proven that building a powerful AI model does not necessarily have to cost billions of dollars. This has raised big questions about the business models of large AI companies and fueled the race to become more fierce. Inspiration. While its creators drew inspiration from advancements made by OpenAI's GPT models and Google's Gemini, they sought to carve out a unique niche by focusing on personalization and user-centric design. The development process involved extensive research, iterative model training, that's constant improvement and innovation for you, and rigorous testing to ensure that Deepseek could deliver accurate, engaging, and contextually appropriate responses. How is Deepseek different from ChatGPT or Gemini? ChatGPT, developed by OpenAI, is a state-of-the-art conversational AI based on the GPT Generative Pre-trained Transformer Architecture. Originating from OpenAI's research into large-scale language models, LLMs. ChatGPT leverages billions of parameters to understand and generate human-like text. It has become a leading force in next-gen AI, advancing natural language processing, powering applications like chatbots, content creation, and personalized learning. It has set a new standard for AI-human interaction, driving innovation across industries. How does DeepSeek work? DeepSeek's secret lies in optimizing hardware and using open source code, instead of using high-end graphics chips like the NVIDIA A100. DeepSeek takes advantage of cheaper chips but still achieves high efficiency. In addition, open source code helps DeepSeek attract the collaboration of the programming community around the world, thereby promoting rapid development. Gemini, formerly known as Bard, is a family of multimodal large language models, LLMs, developed by Google DeepMind, serving as the successor to Lambda and PaLM 2. Comprising Gemini Ultra, Gemini Pro, Gemini Flash, and Gemini Nano. It was announced on December 6, 2023, positioned as a competitor to OpenAI's GPT-4. DeepSeek specializes in Chinese language and cultural context, advanced multimodal AI, and integration with the Chinese ecosystem. That's its biggest advantage. While it focuses on Chinese grammar, idioms, and regional dialects, prioritizes compliance with local regulations, while developing industry-specific solutions for sectors like e-commerce and healthcare. It also has a solid foundation in English language AI, leveraging global AI trends and its expertise in NLP. By combining multimodal capabilities with localized innovation, DeepSeek positions itself as a unique player in the global AI landscape. Impact on the market. The appearance of DeepSeek has caused the stock prices of large technology companies such as NVIDIA to plummet. Investors are concerned that DeepSeek could reduce demand for advanced AI chips and change the competitive landscape in the industry. University networks on challenges and opportunities. Despite its potential, DeepSeek also faces many challenges. Its use of open source code could lead to its technology being illegally copied and exploited. Additionally, its reliance on open data sources raises questions about privacy and security. Timeline of DeepSeek. 2021. The conceptualization of DeepSeek began with the initial focus on understanding the limitations of existing AI models and identifying opportunities for improvement. 2022. The first prototype of DeepSeek was developed, leveraging cutting-edge NLP techniques and machine learning algorithms. This prototype was tested on a small scale to gather feedback and refine the model. 2023. DeepSeek undergoes significant enhancements, integration of advanced personalization algorithms and the expansion of its knowledge base. The model was fine-tuned to provide more nuanced responses. 2024. The official launch of DeepSeek, with a focus on user engagement and continuous improvement based on real-world usage data. Latest developments. Since May, the DeepSeek V2, version 2, series has brought 5 updates. Yet V2 is not the end, it's the beginning, according to the company. DeepSeek is already working on next-gen foundation models. It promises to release DeepSeek V3 series in the future to push the boundaries of AI even further. University networks on the future of AI. Competition among AI companies will become increasingly fierce, driving the rapid development of this technology. However, clear regulations are also needed to ensure that AI is developed and used safely and responsibly.